we do seem to have a unique propensity to create our own selves. But I also then start to wonder, like, to what lesser extent is that a principle of nature in general? Like, to what extent do other organisms do the same thing, but in a less obvious fashion, right? Like this brings in that horrible, dirty word, will, or
Desire
yeah,
or like directional movement across evolutionary time towards some form. Like Shiloh, we were talking last night about the evolution of species and consciousness and the way that humans are kind of this weird eyeball onto the universe. Like it's weird that the universe made humans to then look back on itself. It's almost Narcissian in its construction. That like the universe would create a mirror for itself. And then we were kind of toying with the idea of other beings evolving. I'm like, I look around and there's trees and ants and everybody else. And is it possible to have them take over the earth and have some kind of this sounds so crazy
or
when I
just on a
say it
different
out
planet
loud.
or something.
We're on a different planet, but it's like, okay, what happens if ants are not somewhere down mid-tier on the food chain, but are actually the creatures that are biggest and strongest and smartest on a planet? Do they eventually evolve to some kind of like insectoid superintelligence, the way that humans appear to be evolving towards this kind of human superintelligence? Because I'm like, you look at the way that we train superintelligence now, and it's not like we're booting into it the organizational principles of brine shrimp and ants and forests and
Right.
whales. We're like,
Right.
read our work
Right.
and despair
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever. And so I'm like, what would it look like to have a superintelligence that's ants like? I think it's
Ender's
possible.
Game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, I just think that our sense of our super intelligence, our creations, our prominence is deeply informed by the way that we interact with the environment and with each other. And there are alternatives if your sensorium is different. But I think that humans are kind of locked into a path that the only way out is through. Like, I don't think you can go back in history and then hit play and then have World War II not happen. Like, I think that World War II always happens. And I think that World War III might always happen until everybody gets together and is like, okay, well, we need to have some kind of permanent way of remembering this, that we shouldn't do this. And it's not, I don't think that it's a branched path. I think that it's folded in onto itself somehow.
It's interesting. If it's not a branched path, does that mean that we're not really choosing?
That's the crazy thing. I think that you do choose, but you choose based off of all of the inputs that you get at a given moment. And if all of the inputs are always, if the inputs are the same each time, then you'll make the same choice each time.
I like the fat fist delineation between strategic and tactical free will on this subject, which is like, if you're a giraffe, like you're gonna eat some leaves that are probably at a certain height or something, but you also get to choose which leaves to eat. And so there is like I have, I don't have the free will to float out of my chair right now as much as I would love to do that. But I can choose how to move my body while I'm stuck to the chair. So there's it's not a black and white issue necessarily.